I really like York. I want to say that because I'm not from here. Even now, I don't live here. I live in Carlisle, and I come down here once a month, and I get to meet all these neat people. And I think it's a great little city. I really wish I lived here in a way. But in any event, the reason I say that is this story is going to be about a completely different place where I grew up and where I thought of as home for most of my life, and I kind of still do. It's a little town called Waynesburg, Pennsylvania. Some of you might know where it is. It's the county seat of Greene County, which is in the far southwest corner of Pennsylvania, so far south and west that on the western border of Greene County is West Virginia, the Wheeling area. On the southern border of Greene County is West Virginia, the Morgantown area. So I grew up in a county that was more culturally aligned with West Virginia than it was with Pittsburgh, which is where most people from Waynesburg say they're from when they're out of town. But I recognize that I'm from Waynesburg, and we're pretty much from West Virginia where we are. But in any event, we were the county seat. It's a beautiful little town. It's also the poorest county in Pennsylvania. Consistently, the poorest, lowest income county in Pennsylvania is Greene County. And it is also the leading sheep producer in Greene County. I don't think those two things are unrelated. I think that sheep farming may not be the most profitable venture available. I had a grandfather who was a sheep farmer. He did pretty well with it. He had 5 sheep farms in Greene County, but frankly, the best thing you can do in Greene County is own some of that farmland and let it go vacant and then let them find Marcellus shale gas under it, which my sister's husband did, and now we call them the Shaleonaires. Kind of like Jed Clampett, you know. But anyway, I grew up and spent the first 22 years of my life in Waynesburg, Pennsylvania. And last weekend gave me a really good opportunity to go home to Waynesburg because it was my 50th high school reunion, class of 1973. And we had a 2-night bash. We had a reception the first night at a place called Farley's Cafe that was owned by a classmate of ours, Farley, who used to be a judge in Greene County and then got into some trouble with the Judiciary Board and is now running this cafe called Farley's Cafe and hosted us on Friday night. On Saturday night, we went to one of the only restaurants in Waynesburg. It's been a restaurant for years. It's under different management now. The different management is ready to bug out, so the place is almost closed. We had to get a caterer to come in and provide the food. The caterer didn't show up for the reunion, so we ended up on the fly ordering pizza and salad, and it was pretty standard Waynesburg night for those of us in the class of 73 eating pizza and salad. But around that, I was in town with my wife, who's not from there, and I kind of had free rein to drive around town and see what had changed or not changed. I'd been away for a long time, and after my mother passed away a few years ago, I really didn't have any reason to be back in Pennsylvania or in Waynesburg. So I drove around to see what had changed or not changed, and was shocked to find that they had taken my basketball hoop down from the driveway and garage where I had honed my skills, which was how I won the March Story Slam, talking about my basketball career. But in any event, I was disappointed, I would say, that a number of the places I remembered looked to be in kind of bad shape and not well taken care of. And the population, which I famously knew by heart at the time I was growing up, was about 5,120 people. It's now shrunk to, I think, below 4,000. So it's not doing that great. A lot of the stores in downtown are shuttered and closed permanently. So I was a little depressed about all of that. And I went to a few of my favorite spots, though. One house where one of my best friends had this really cool big front porch, and his parents used to have us let us sleep out there in the summer and put army cots out there. And he and I would sleep on these army cots, although we didn't really sleep. We stayed up all night listening to transistor radio and a Pirates game if it was on. And then at about 5 o'clock in the morning, there was a guy who drove the local bakery's bread truck, and he would come by and pick us up, and we would drive around town with him delivering bread and rolls and other bakery goods to the various restaurants and hospitals and everything else in town. And we loved that. So that was one place I visited that was still pretty much intact. And then I went by a place where I made a big decision about my life. I won't bore you with what that is because we just passed 5 minutes, even though I'm not getting scored, so I really don't care. But I will try to keep it short just to be a good team player. And I went past this one spot where I remembered making this decision about my life, and that was nice. But I was overall on Friday, I was kind of disappointed with my return home until I got to Farley's Cafe that night. When I got there, I was early. My wife and I went early, and we were some of the first people there. But one by one, classmates started to come in. Classmate that I had had a lot of fun with as a kid was there. There were various people that I had had various relationships with and had a great time talking to them. And at one point, as I was telling another of my classmates who's here tonight, Mike Adams, all of my girlfriends that I had ever had from 7th grade through 12th grade were friends with each other, and they were talking together. And my wife took a picture of them. She didn't really know she was doing this, but she gave me a picture of all of my girlfriends from 7th through 12th grade, one of whom was also my first wife, so that was nice. But that was kind of cool, and I've had occasion during the past week and a half to look at that picture and have a lot of memories about those girls and how nice they were to me. And just great memories, but I realized from that coming home to me meant, meant the people that I had befriended and lived with for those first 22 years of my life. And so I quit worrying about which stores were closed and the basketball hoop being gone, and I started to realize that for me, Waynesburg was just a great collection of people, that I got to know for the first 22 years of my life, as I said. And that's what coming home meant to me.